always stress on lifestyle changes. And if somebody can reduce blood pressure just with lifestyle changes, we don't need the medicines. Hello there, it's Dr. Rammohan Bhat here. I'm a nephrologist in Bangalore. How to reduce hypertension? Now, hypertension is a lifestyle disease. So the way to begin is to change our lifestyle. When I say lifestyle, it includes diet, exercise, sleep, and recreation. And in each one of them, I would say quality, quantity, and timing is important. So the quantity of food that we eat, the quality of food that we eat, and the timing of food that we eat, all of them are important. When it comes to quantity of food that we eat, we have to limit the amount of calories that we eat. So when we look at food, the three major nutrients that we have to address are carbohydrates, protein, and fat. The micronutrients are there, and then there is one more important ingredient which is actually not absorbed, but it is actually more important than all the other three, that is the fiber. Fiber is not absorbed, but then that is probably the most important nutrient, not only to reduce blood pressure, it also reduces blood sugar and cholesterol as well. So it's very important that we look at the diet in terms of the quantity, quality, and timing. Now, I told about the quantity, we have to reduce the calories. We have to make sure that we have decent amount of protein. For most of us, 1 gram per kg body weight per day of protein is recommended. We have to make sure that we limit our fat intake, because nowadays we are not manually very active. So most of us are doing sedentary activities. So we have to limit the fat. When it comes to quality, we have to look at various micronutrients of the food. To reduce blood pressure, there's something called as a DASH diet. DASH stands for Dietary Approaches to Systolic Hypertension. More than 50 years ago, when we didn't have as many blood pressure medicines that we have now, there was so much of importance on dietary intervention to reduce blood pressure. And there's a large cohort of people in America who were put on various kinds of diet, and there was a long prospective study done which has shown that people who take a lot of fiber in the food by way of fresh salads, those who take a lot of dairy, especially low-fat dairy, and low-salt diet, their blood pressure is much better than those who do not do the same. Processed food, especially ultra-processed food, is bad for our health, including blood pressure. Then we have to look at the content of the sodium, potassium, magnesium. Higher the sodium, higher the blood pressure. Higher the potassium and magnesium, lower the blood pressure. Vegetables like beetroot, all root vegetables, especially beetroot, spinach or all leafy vegetables, bananas, avocados, they have got a very high content of potassium, so they lower the blood pressure down. Avocados is probably the best. That's why it's one of the most popular healthy food. Then you've got items like nuts, which have got high content of magnesium. They also reduce blood pressure, but then nuts will have a bit of fat. You have to be careful. However, I must warn you, nuts have got healthy fat. They've got a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, which are very good for you. So do make sure that you include nuts in your diet. So that's the quality of the food. And then the timing. Make sure that you eat food at regular timings and don't vary it. So one day having breakfast at 8 o'clock, another day at 10 o'clock, one day missing breakfast, another day having a large volume, one day having a small volume. Not good for us at all. Have it at regular intervals and then give the stomach and our body a break in between. What has been found is if we keep snacking all the time, insulin keeps getting released all the time, and that hyperinsulinemia leads to a lot of different problems, including hypertension. There's a huge connection between hyperinsulinemia and high blood pressure. So you fast for a longer period of time, you do end up having a lower blood pressure. So if you can give a fasting window of anywhere between 10 to 12 hours every day, that does impact your blood pressure positively as well. So we talked about the quantity, quality, and timing of food, that is diet. Then come to exercise. When I say exercise, which reduces blood pressure, is probably isometric exercise. There's a study from British Journal of Sports Medicine, which I will put out in the frame here, which has shown that isometric exercises like a wall set for about 1 minute each time. Maybe do that for about 10 minutes every day. Or a plank where you can hold your position for about 30 seconds to 1 minute and do it repeatedly for maybe about 10 minutes each day if possible. Reduces the blood pressure more than a cardiovascular exercise. If you're not able to do a wall sit or a plank, you can always do a cardiovascular exercise where you do fast walking, slow running, shuttle badminton, swimming, etc., wherein you increase your heart rate about 50% more than your resting heart rate. For example, if your heart rate is 70 per minute, you get your heart rate above 100, make it 100 to 110, and keep it there for about 15 to 20 minutes every day. There should be a period of warm-up and a period of cooling down. That will bring down the blood pressure very well. So the best form of exercise is isometric. The next best form is cardiovascular exercises, where you get your heart rate and your blood pressure about 50% above the baseline for a period of time every day. In the same exercise, I would include things like yoga and breathing exercises. Pranayama or breathing exercises increase the parasympathetic activity in the body and reduce the sympathetic activity in the body, and hence reduces the blood pressure. Most of the activities of man in a day stimulates the sympathetic system. Now you may ask, what is sympathetic and parasympathetic? Very briefly, our nervous system has got a part called the autonomous nervous system, which is not under our control. If I want to lift this computer, I can do it, and that is under my control. But then when I see something very tasty, my mouth starts watering. That's not under my control, but I can see it and feel it. If I hear something very sad, my eyes start watering. That is not under my control. All these things are controlled by the autonomic nervous system. The parasympathetic and the sympathetic systems form the autonomic nervous system. The sympathetic increases heart rate, increases blood pressure, and increases the insulin and cortisol production, so increases the blood sugar, whereas parasympathetic does exactly the opposite. It relaxes the heart, it relaxes the blood pressure, the blood vessels, so the blood pressure comes down. So there are only two activities that can stimulate the parasympathetic system, that is sleep, or good sleep, and pranayama, that is breathing techniques. We have to include at least 5 to 10 minutes of breathing exercises in our day-to-day activity to reduce the blood pressure. Then comes the sleep. Once again, quality, quantity, and timing of sleep. Our blood pressure has a diurnal variation, by which I mean the blood pressure goes up during the day, peaks during late afternoon or evening, and then starts going down, and post midnight it goes down, dips the lowest, and then starts going up again. That is because during our sleep we go through various stages. There are two main stages called the REM sleep and NREM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement sleep, and then non-rapid eye movement sleep. The NREM has got 3 stages, wherein the third stage, N3, we are in deep sleep and the blood pressure is the lowest. So if we get good amount of deep sleep, you will have low blood pressure, and then risk of heart attack, strokes, kidney failure does go down. There are people who can have sleep disorders and they do not spend enough time in N3 NREM sleep, resulting in higher blood pressure at night. When we do 24-hour BP monitoring, we do pick up that their blood pressure is actually on the higher side or doesn't dip down during their night. So one of the causes of resistant high blood pressure is obstructive sleep apnea or sleep disorders. And we do investigate people who got resistant hypertension for sleep disorders. Sleep is very important to reduce the blood pressure. Then finally, the recreational part. All are hormones. There are hormones which increase the blood pressure, like the steroids or cortisol. These can be suppressed, and hormones which improve the blood pressure and improve our mood can be increased by recreation. Anything, it could be anything. So recreation for me could be painting, but for you it could be spending some time with friends who are like-minded. So make sure you spend a particular amount of time every week. If you can't do it every day, in some recreational activity which relaxes you and rejuvenates you. That is also very important to reduce the blood pressure. So these are the lifestyle changes that you can do. And then finally, blood pressure medications. They are also important. Many a times blood pressure is very high. Lifestyle changes can take a long time to reduce the blood pressure, but they are the best way to reduce blood pressure, and they're long lasting. So if I reduce my weight, if I exercise very well, eat healthy, etc., and then get my blood pressure down by that way, even if I do not stick to it for a few days or a couple of weeks, my blood pressure doesn't shoot up quickly. However, medicines are the quickest way to get the blood pressure down, but then you stop the medicines, the blood pressure goes up even quickly. So medicines are required many times to reduce the blood pressure quickly when somebody has got extremely high blood pressure. But then we do advise all our patients to change their lifestyle so that there is a slow but then a sure short way of reducing blood pressure, and maybe we can reduce the medicines as well. So most often than not, we end up giving some medicines initially when blood pressure is very high, but we do always stress on lifestyle changes. And if somebody can reduce blood pressure just with lifestyle changes, we don't need the medicines. So it's a combination of lifestyle changes and medications to reduce the blood pressure.